Assalamu alaikum. Today we will continue the lesson of analyzing a line graph. So, at the end of this video, you should be able to analyze a line graph, analyze a data table. I want you to prepare notebook and a pencil and your physics booklet. We learned in the previous video that the basic of a graph analysis is identifying the parts of a graph. Determine the starting and the ending points of each part. Start point, the maximum or the minimum, the end point. Knowing that the maximum is the highest point and the minimum is the lowest point. Determine the variation of each part. Increase, decrease, or remain constant. Are you ready? Let us start. To analyze a graph, you should follow 4 steps. Step 1. Cut the curve of the graph in parts according to the type of variation. Increase, decrease, or remain constant. In this graph, there are 2 parts. The first part is from point A to point B. The second part is from point B to point C. So we will cut in the middle, like this. The variation of first part from point A to point B is increases. The variation of the second part from point B to point C is decreases. So here there are 2 parts. Step 2. Indicate the beginning and the end point of each part of the curve. We explained before that the beginning point is the point where the graph starts. So in this graph, what is the start point? The start point is A. Do we have a maximum or minimum point in this graph? Since we have increase, then decrease, so we have a maximum point, which is point B. What is the end point in this graph? The end point is C. Why? Because the graph stops at this point. Step 3. Mention only the values of each point. What is the coordination of point A, B, and C? As we explained before in the previous video, that to determine the value of any point, we should draw a perpendicular from this point to x-axis and another perpendicular to y-axis. For point A, if we draw a perpendicular to the x-axis, what is the value? 0.5. The unit is second, so 0.5 second. If we draw a perpendicular from point A to y-axis, the value is 0.5. The unit is degrees Celsius, so 0.5 degrees Celsius. What is the coordination of point A now? 0.5 second, 0.5 degrees Celsius. Apply the same steps to determine the coordination of point B and C. Point B, 1.5 second, 1.5 second, 3 degrees Celsius, 3 degrees Celsius. Point C, 2.5 second, 1 degrees Celsius. Step 4. Write the analysis of the graph in a form of a paragraph. And this is the step that will be shown to your teacher. So your text should be accurate and clear. After explaining the steps, it's the time to apply and analyze a graph. We will analyze each part alone. So we will start with part 1. Part 1 from point A to point B. First, list the numerical values of the first point which is A, the units and the corresponding variables. At time 0.5 second, the temperature is 0.5 degrees Celsius. Since the value of point A on x-axis is 0.5 and the value of point A on y-axis is 0.5, then indicate the variation of the responding variable, which is temperature, shown in the first part of the curve. The variation is increases, so we write this temperature increases. Now, list the value of the responding variable of the second endpoint of the part to become. The value is 3, so we write to become 3 degrees Celsius. Then, list the variation of the manipulated variable and specify the value of the second point when the manipulated variable becomes. When the time becomes 1.5 seconds. Part 2. Part 2 from point B to point C. First, indicate the variation of the responding variable, which is temperature, shown in the second part of the curve. Decreases, so we write then this temperature decreases. Then, list the value of the responding variable to become 1 degree Celsius. Now, list the variation of the manipulated variable, which is time, and specify the value. So, when the time becomes 2.5 seconds. Now, it's your time to evaluate your knowledge. So please stop the video and try to analyze graph 4. Don't forget any step. Have you finished? Let us correct. At time t equals 0 second, from here, at time t equals 0 second, the temperature is 0 degrees Celsius. Since point A is located on the intersection of the two axes, so its coordination 0, 0. Then this temperature increases to the maximum to become 1 degree Celsius, 1 degree Celsius, when the time becomes 1.25 seconds. After that, this temperature decreases to become 0.2 degrees Celsius when the time becomes 2 seconds. Analyzing a data table. The data organized in a table can be analyzed by following the same steps of analyzing the data represented by a graph. For example, the following data table shows how a car's speed changes over time. Before starting with analysis, surely this table has a title. What is the title of this table? What is the general form of a title? The general form of a title is the variation of the responding variable with respect to manipulated variable. So in this table, what is the manipulated variable? The manipulated variable is time. The unit of time is minute. What is the responding variable? Speed. The unit of speed is kilometer per hour. Now, what is the title of this table? The variation of speed kilometer per hour with respect to time minute. How can we analyze this table? To analyze this table, we should determine the number of parts included in it. And to determine the number of parts included in this table, we should observe the value of the responding variable, which is speed, carefully. We have 0, 40, 60, 100, and 80. From 0 to 40, the value increases. Continue. From 40 to 60, the value also increases. Continue. From 60 to 100, the value increases. Continue. From 100 to 80, from 100 to 80, the value decreases. Stop and pay attention. We will divide the table referring to the values and the variation. So we will divide the table into two parts. From 0 to 100, the values increase. So it is the first part. From 100 to 80, the value decreases. This is the second part. Now we should organize these values and data in a clear and short paragraph. How? Start from the beginning or the start point. At time t equals 0 minute, the speed is 0 km per hour. Continue. This speed increases to the maximum. This is the maximum point to become 100 km per hour when the time becomes 9 minutes. This is the corresponding time for the maximum point. Then this speed decreases to become 80 km per hour when the time becomes 12 minutes. This is your agenda. Thank you for your attention.